It's been 12 years and 11 billion World of Warcraft subscribers since Blizzard basically revolutionized real-time strategy with the first Starcraft. 12 years. After all that time, I can hardly believe I'm actually standing here telling you about a new Starcraft, but given Blizzard's track record for making pretty kick-ass games, it's not hard to believe that Starcraft II Wings of Liberty was totally worth waiting for. At this point, though, Starcraft II is really more like two games in one box between the really demanding, intricate online multiplayer that made the first game South Korea's favorite national pastime, and then that epic, story-driven single-player campaign that follows the epic clash between the noble, psionic Protoss, the creepy, crawly Zerg, and the space rednecks of the Terran Dominion. The game fully delivers on both of these fronts and really lives up to its storied legacy.
Keep your shirt on, son.
The story in Wings of Liberty follows that rebel with a heart of gold, Jim Raynor, who's still running around the galaxy with a ragtag group of guerrillas, waging war against the tyrant Emperor Minx that Raynor inadvertently helped put into power in the first place. Of course, it doesn't take long for the corrupted human ghost and Raynor's old flame, Kerrigan, and her awful Zerg army to show up and start wreaking havoc again, and pretty soon there's a full-scale, three-way conflict once again taking place. There are a ton of great real-time cinematics between every mission, and you get to roam around Raynor's ship, the Hyperion, chatting with your crew and just sort of immersing yourself in the game's world. You get to know the old and the new characters on a much more personal level than you ever got a chance to do in Blizzard's past strategy games, which makes the pivotal moments of the story that much more meaningful. There's also a remarkable amount of variety in the campaign's gameplay. If you were one of those people that was worried this would only be 1/3 of a full game, you can quit worrying. It's easily as long as the original StarCraft, but it puts way more effort into creating unique scenarios in every single one of the roughly 24 missions. There's a nighttime holdout against waves of zombie-like Zerg units. There are several different missions that don't even have base building and just put you in charge of a kind of a small crack squad of specialists. And there's an entire mini-campaign involving the Protoss in the middle of the game. There's even a train robbery mission. Everything about the mission design is consistently varied, and it keeps things really interesting the whole way through. Wings of Liberty isn't just a linear progression of missions with no variability either. There's actually a substantial amount of choice in the way that you tackle the campaign. There are a ton of persistent but optional upgrades that you can buy for all of your individual units, and there are also two branching research trees that let you unlock some really neat bonuses and abilities at the expense of passing up other ones. There are even several points in the story that force you to make some pretty tough decisions that determine not just how those specific scenarios resolve, but also which of two missions you get to play afterward.
You've made a poor choice, Mr. Raynor.
There's just a ton of meat to the campaign here that's rounded out by a slew of achievements and unlockables that make it really worth going back and playing through more than once. Okay, multiplayer. In competitive play, Starcraft II basically operates on the same principles as the first game. It revolves around managing a strong economy, producing more units than your opponents, and then utilizing those units more skillfully than them. Sure, getting into Starcraft II's multiplayer takes some effort, but it's immensely rewarding as you see your abilities improving, and the new BattleNet does a great job of easing you into things. The key here is the new Leagues and Ladders system that evaluates your performance in a series of placement matches and then ranks you along with players who are pretty close to you in skill level. There's also a great challenge mode here that teaches you vital multiplayer concepts like how to use hotkeys, which units act as counters to other units, and how to defend against the dreaded Zerg rush. The game does just about everything it can to get you ready for competitive online play, short of actually playing your matches for you. In other words, you don't really need to know the meaning of terms like natural, six-pool, or bio-ball to get into Starcraft II's online action. The new BattleNet is also teeming with well-integrated social features. There's a really functional friends list in here that lets you chat with your friends in any game mode and makes it super easy to get them into games with you. The game tracks just a ludicrous number of statistics about your entire match history if you're really into that sort of thing. And if you're serious about improving your game, you're most definitely into that sort of thing.
Don't matter to me none.
Blizzard must have been in a pretty tough position designing Starcraft II, between having to consider both 12 years worth of evolving game design and a legion of die-hard fans who have been playing the original game for all of those 12 years. But the result of those considerations is a game that's true to the core of what made Starcraft such a timeless game, but improved, streamlined, and modernized enough to last just as long as its esteemed predecessor.